Hey, it's Lee. Welcome. 9 months to 100 kilometres. I mean, it feels like it's been 9 months since I recorded anything on this podcast. So for that, I apologise. When I set out on this journey, I wanted to document my journey as much as I possibly can. And I had the aspiration of recording a new episode every week. And that was all going well up until Christmas. Christmas was now 4 months ago, and I've only recorded one. This is my second episode since Christmas, and the other one was a cheat episode as well because it was a joint episode with the Business Problem Solved podcast. So I cheated. So really, this is the only one genuine episode since Christmas, so 4 months. I think I've done 14, 15 episodes before that, getting into a real good rhythm, documenting my journey and the lessons of the early parts of this. I'm going to call it transformation because it has been a transformational journey for me. I have learned a lot. And as I sit here now, it is Thursday night, and the first challenge, the London Marathon, is this coming weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days away. I've been asked a lot recently, in fact more today than ever before, how am I feeling about it? And I think that is what has compelled me to sit behind a microphone today and just document my journey, because I wanted to understand the journey that I've been on. And a lot of things have happened in the last 3.5 to 4 months. 4 months since the last proper recording. A lot of things have happened, and I think I need to update you and just document for myself, because in this time I have actually managed to run a marathon. So this was about 7 weeks ago. I think I ran my very first marathon around the streets of Chorley. Up until that point, I did 18 miles, 20 miles, 22 miles, 24 miles, and then 26.2 miles. So I was gradually building it up, and each week it was really, really painful. When I got to 16 miles, I got home after that, and my sister and brother-in-law were at my house, and I had to physically crawl up the stairs. My legs were in absolute bits at 16 miles. I did not know how I was going to run any more miles. And what I've learned is the importance of nutrition. Because when I started the journey, I thought the longer I lasted before I had an energy gel or anything to eat or drink, the more that I was building the strength up in my body, and that's absolutely ridiculous. What I've learned over the last 4 months is the importance of fueling regularly, and it's not about waiting until you need it. It's about starting early so you don't need to do it, because the minute you need it, it's too late. And that's what I was doing. I was crashing, and my legs felt like they could go no further. So at 16 miles I had to crawl up the stairs. At 18 miles it felt a little bit better, but I'd learned a little bit about nutrition. And then over the following weeks I didn't have to, but I built up to doing my first marathon. I did my first marathon. It was 4 hours and 52 minutes or something like that. Continuous running, 4 hours and 52 minutes. The last 4 miles were painfully slow, like ridiculously slow. I was going from something like starting out at 10 to 10.5 minute miles, and then the last 3, 4, 5 miles were more like 13-minute miles. I was a third slower, and don't get me wrong, 10-minute miles are not fast. So it was a real struggle. It is a real struggle and a real slog. That was the first time I ran the marathon. The second time I ran the marathon, I was more consistent with my pace, and I managed to fuel myself. It felt a lot better. So that was the second time, and I thought I could do this. I believed I could do it. My strength of belief about approaching the marathon was just increasing, and I thought nothing could stop me. And then the week after, so then I had a week off, because I needed to. I got into this rhythm where I was training for like 3 weeks, and then I was having the 4th week off with no long run. So the week after my second marathon, I took a week's rest because I was physically exhausted, and then I decided to go again and do another long run, and I was going to aim for 28 miles, but I didn't manage it. I really struggled, and I crashed more than I've ever crashed, or that I'd ever crashed before on the journey. So when I think about it, I got to mile 19 and my head said no, my body said no, and when I think about like the weeks before, at no time did my head and my body say no to me. So I'd really struggled, but then I started to, and I went to I had to ring home for a lift home, because I just couldn't do the remaining part of the journey. I had to ring home, and I got in the car, and the kids hadn't eaten, so I said we'll go to Greg's on my way back, because I'm an athlete. I eat Greg's, and I got out the car. I went and stood in the queue with my son Jack, and I could feel myself going faint, and I thought I was going to pass out in the queue at Greg's. So I had to go and grab a drink from the fridge quickly, and then I had to go and sit down and start drinking the drink. I'd not paid for the drink at this time. I left Jack in the queue, and I just started drinking the Lucozade and hoping to feel better, because I did not feel well at all. Then thankfully the liquid had kicked in, and I started to perk up a little bit. I still felt proper ropey, but I felt strong enough to get up, make the order, pay for everything, including the drink that I just drank, and then leave. And then I started to reflect and really think about what had I done, and I'd realised that the day before I had a big lunch, so I didn't have any tea. So I didn't have any tea that day because I'd had a big lunch. Then I woke up, and because this training has been all-consuming, my aim had always been to get out as early as I could, and then I can get back and enjoy some time with the family. But in doing that, it meant that I'd had no breakfast. So I'd had no tea, and I had no breakfast. So I set off running, and I hadn't eaten for about 18, 19 hours, something like that, which is not the most ideal fuel strategy to attempt to run a marathon around the streets of Chorley. When I was running as well, I felt a bit run down. I hadn't slept the best. I had a couple of ulcers in my mouth, and so that prevented, every time I drank water through the camel pack that I've got, because I had to like suck on the straw, it really hurt the ulcers. So that meant I'd reduced the amount of water that I was taking on, and so I had reduced amount of water, running on empty. No wonder when I got to mile 19 I couldn't continue, which was it was a lesson I wish I'd never learnt, but I think it's a really valuable lesson, because I've been really thinking the training since then. I've had a conscious thought about fueling, what I need to do, what mile I need to do it at, what I need to do for my breakfast, what I need to think about eating the night before. I've taken that far more serious than I had beforehand. I thought I could just wake up and run a marathon because I've done the training, but there's so much more to it than I had considered. So since mile 19, I then got back on it, and my training was going good again, and I was doing some decent miles. And then you get to do this thing called tapering, and I've absolutely loved tapering, because it's meant that I've been able to do like decent length runs. And what I mean by decent length runs, I mean not really long, but not really time consuming either. Just getting out for an hour and a half rather than 5 hours, which is what I was doing. And that's been far more manageable, far more palatable, far more pleasing, and I've quite enjoyed doing it. So it physically now, running 8 miles doesn't seem like a challenge or a chore. which is positive, but it makes me really, and I've convinced myself actually that on June the 9th, I am convinced myself that I'm going to burn my trainers because I don't want to run anymore. And that might seem a little bit extreme, but I've not fully enjoyed this. I've got a really strong reason, a couple of strong reasons why I am doing this, why I've wanted to do this, why I signed up in the first place, and why I have, I guess, sacrificed my time to put into the amount of training that I've done. And on June the 9th, I don't have a reason anymore because the 2 charity events that I'm raising money for, so London Marathon for Macmillan, and at the time of recording this, I'm absolutely overwhelmed. I've £3,500 have hit the Just Giving page, which is phenomenal, unbelievable, and I am so grateful for all of the donations that have been made, all of the well wishes and all of the support that I've had. And so yes, but when I've done the 2 charity events, because I've got nothing else booked, there's no reason for me to run anymore. Don't get me wrong, there have been a whole host of physical benefits. I am unrecognisable naked now, and I've lost about 1.5 stone in weight. I feel far more physically fitter. Even my fingers have started shrinking. I've had to put tape on the inside of my rings to stop my rings from flying off, and so I've had all sorts of just like physical health benefits, but I don't want to run as much as I've been running at all. So I am really contemplating burning my trainers because my reason to run is not there, or is not as strong. It's non-existent. And I was asked today that would I carry on running because it's a habit. I don't think it is a habit. I'm doing it because I need to do it, not because I've got a craving to do it, and not because the purpose is a continual purpose, like an infinite purpose. It's an ongoing. It's a short-term purpose. So that really is a consideration. I am going to burn my trainers on June the 9th. I've got the ultra marathon 7 weeks after the London Marathon, but first things first, the first event is 3 days away. How am I feeling? I feel comfortable, not confident. Now, what makes me feel comfortable is when I started this podcast and this challenge, I stupidly said that there was a time that I wanted to hit, and it was 3.5 hours. I think was my goal rate. I've trained, but my body does not run at a pace that allows me to do at 3.5 hours, which I don't know. I mean, I was unconsciously incompetent at the time, and through the training I've become more consciously incompetent and realised how stretching that target is. So I guess still a stretching target, because I've never run a marathon in less than 4 hours and 45 minutes. A more stretching target is still 4 hours and 30 minutes, which is actually an hour slower than the original time that I wanted to do it. But that was built on no knowledge. That was built on just some random thought of me going that the average time for a marathon is 4 hours and 30 minutes, and I want to be better than average. But this is I've got to remember, this is my first marathon. This is what I've trained for. I'm not getting any younger. So 4 hours and 30 minutes is my target time, is my gold medal time. Just completing it is, in my head, is definitely just good. Is good enough as well. So my bronze is just completing it. My silver is 5 hours, and my gold is 4 hours and 30 minutes. And that's what I'm aiming for. But that's built on the knowledge that I've gained over the last however many weeks it has been. So like 7 months so far I've been training for it. So every single week been doing something, but using that knowledge, I know now what a target, an achievable target but still stretching target is. At the start I didn't. So that's one key lesson that I've learned, is you can only really set yourself a stretching target when you have knowledge of what it is that you need to do. Without doing that, you are unconsciously incompetent, and you can build the knowledge as you go to refine that target. That's the one thing that I'd like to take away from this, or that I'm taking away from this last bit, or this last few months. And then the second thing is just the importance of the nutrition, the fueling that gives you the energy to do the thing that you are doing. You can't just wake up and do the thing. You need to put in the prep. You need to really consider whether you've got the right fueling strategy to keep you going. And it's like, what do you need to keep you persistent, to keep you going and doing what it is you need to do? What is it that will fuel you? For me, it's strength of purpose, but also it's also the nutrition to keep me going in the moments, because you've got to fuel your mind, which is where the purpose comes from, and you've got to fuel your body, which is where the nutrition comes from. And I need both of those things to be on point on Sunday when I start this marathon. And then the third thing is just the immense gratitude that I've got in terms of being able to raise £3,500 for Macmillan. I never thought I would get to that figure. So yeah, I'm just so immensely grateful. But the first event, this coming Sunday, 3 days away. Come on, this is I'm excited to give it a go. I'm comfortable with what I've done. I feel like I could, in fact, actually something else, because I feel like the last 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, when I've been doing this tapering thing that I've enjoyed, I've taken my foot off the pedal a little bit. I feel like I could have done more, should have done more, but I've actually recognised that I need to give my body time to fully repair and recover. But something strange has happened this week. I've got a little twinge in my thigh. My neck is a little bit tighter and a little bit sore. My knee has started playing up. So subconsciously, I've started to get all of these different ailments, which is just a bizarre thing. That my body is kind of going, or saying to me, or my head is saying to me that I'm breaking. But yeah, we'll get over that. A few miles in, we'll be absolutely fine. But it's very strange how my body has started to remind me of the different bits of my body that maybe not in peak physical condition. But I'm in good form, good spirits, and 3 days to go. We have got this. Have yourself an amazing week, and I hope to update you a little bit more regular. But I can't promise that, because the training continues. This is step 1 of 2 steps. The ultramarathon is next, but let's get London out of the way first.